My brother made me have the worst night of my life. My 27M brother, 24M, put me in a shit spot. About 3 years ago we got invited to a mutual friend's wedding. I was excited for several reasons, one of which being I don't get to see my brother, Jake, often since I work out of state, so it was a great chance to catch up. My fiancé couldn't make it since she was finishing school several states over. At the reception he caught the attention of one of the bridesmaids, we'll call her Sally, who would not leave him alone. Any conversation that he was a part of she would jump in and kept asking people if he was actually 21 because he looked 17. I'm not entirely sure why this was her main conversation point, but I heard it about 5 times through the night. But they seemed to hit it off pretty good, and I was about to chalk the entire wedding up as the best ones I'd been to until the very end. As I'm getting into my car, Jake comes running up and asks me to go downtown with him and Sally. I said thanks for the invite, but I'm tired and I'm just going to drive back to our parents. He said that Sally wanted to hang out with him but she wouldn't leave her friend, Jess, and Jess didn't want to be a third wheel. I declined again and said that driving an hour into town, the venue was out in the country about 10 minutes from my parents' house, just to get drunk was not what I felt like doing. He then turns around and yells to everyone in the parking lot that I'm drunk and trying to drive home. Everyone and their mother ran over and started berating me for being irresponsible. I was trying to explain to them I was sober when Sally yells out every time I saw him he had a drink in his hand. I had 3 the whole night. It was a 5-hour wedding. But after that comment the mother of the bride told me if I got into my car she would call the cops. My brother took my keys and tossed them to Sally, who went with Jess to get their car. I'm pissed at this point, but he tells me he's got it all figured out. I go hang out with them downtown for an hour, be friendly with Jess. I could Uber with him back his place. He would rendezvous with Sally, then take me back to my car in the morning. I hated this plan. On top of being exhausted, I also felt uncomfortable. Seemed like the whole situation was bad optics for a guy who's engaged. I text my fiancée to see if she's awake so I can keep her in the loop, and ease my own growing anxiety, but she'd gone to sleep hours ago since she was 2 time zones over. To avoid any miscommunication about what this night would entail, when I introduced myself to Jess I said hi, I'm happily engaged. She just laughed and thanked me for coming so she wouldn't be a third wheel. An hour is a long time to spend in a car with strangers, so I tried to get to know them. They were pretty much open books, told me about their plans for the future, their past, their families, etc. I noticed Jake got quieter as the drive continued, but I figured he was just finally getting tired as well. When we get there and Jake and Sally went to get drinks, so Jess and I hung out near the door. About 30 minutes later we get approached by one of my fiancé's friends, Lily. She cuts between Jess and I, asks me who I'm with. Me, this is Jess. Lily, that's cool, how do you know each other? Me, we met at a wedding today. Lily, and now you're out drinking with her. Does fiancé know? Me, well, no, she's sleeping, but I texted her. Lily, I hope you did. She then turns to Jess and tells her I'm engaged and leaves. At this point I'm ready to call it. I had already thought the whole thing looked bad optically, and after that conversation it was pretty much affirmed. I go to find my brother and I run into Sally making out with some dude at the bar. I feel bad for Jake since it seemed he liked this gal, but she then informs me that he actually ditched her and left. She had no idea why. He didn't say anything to her, but he had walked out the back 20 minutes prior. She then grabs new guy and they go out the back door. I call him but it goes straight to voicemail. I don't know his address. No friends are answering. It's past midnight and everyone's asleep. Jess is freaking out now because she doesn't know where Sally went. 15 minutes later Sally finds us. Apparently she was so mad she just decided to angry bang this guy in his truck. The guy kept coming around trying to get her to go back to his place, but she doesn't want to go. He starts getting very persistent to the point I thought he was gonna do something stupid if I left the girls alone, so I suggested we leave. Not long after we start driving, Sally passes out, drunk AF. Jess is fairly distraught and asks me to help care of Sally and offers me a couch. I curse my brother under my breath, but I agree to stay at their place so that hopefully I could at least sleep soon. I got to the point of exhaustion where being awake almost felt like torture. I'm an old man at heart and making it to the end of the wedding was an achievement in itself for me. But my torment wasn't over. When we get to the house they knock and their old roommate answers and tells them to fuck off. Apparently, they don't actually live there anymore. They had graduated a month prior and were no longer on the lease, but just assumed they could stay at the house after the wedding. Doors shut, locked. It's damn near 3 a.m. Jess has no idea what to do. Sally is just coherent enough to sling slurs at the roommate through the windows. I basically begged Jess to drive me home. She doesn't want to because it's a long drive. I said if you take me home and then to my car in the morning, I will let you ride my horses, shoot my guns, and I'll pay for your gas. She was sold at horses, so she agreed, but was too tired to make the hour drive and asked me to. After the longest drive of my life, we get to my parents' house. We get inside and I show them to my brother's old room and I go to mine. I get a text from my father. He had taken my mother on a vacation that weekend but got alerted by his camera app that a car pulled in and saw me get out with two girls. He said, if you do something stupid I won't cover for you. I tried to call him to explain the situation and tell him about the shit night my brother had brought on me, but he wouldn't answer. So I was finally home but slept like shit because I didn't like the idea of my dad thinking I was cheating 4 months out from being married. When my fiancée woke up we talked and she actually found the whole thing fairly entertaining. Her friend had texted her and sent shit tons of pictures she had taken prior to approaching me, but it was just me talking like arm's distance away from Jess. She appreciated the constant texts I was sending her throughout the night and laughed at how panicked they sounded. So everything ended fine I guess, but the night still sucked. Edit. My brother apologized when I confronted him. Essentially it boiled down to the conversation I had with the girls in the car. He just wanted to hook up, but when Sally started opening up about her life it ruined the night for him. He called an old fling who came and grabbed him from the bar.